a quick introduction of who you are. Thank you.
So my name is Pete Rogina. I'm the co-creator of Peace Lights and the founder of Project Peace Lights, which is an NGO that was kind of spawned from the journey of Peace Lights, an international symbol of peace. And behind me, you can see Peace Lights playing, and it's also played on 3 Zoom calls today. It's been kind of crazy. I tell people that Peace Lights has its own life, and I'm just along for the ride at this point. But the journey with Peace Lights has gotten me into peace education work in the African Union, and that's what we'll talk about a little bit in a while. But it's great to be here. It's been a fantastic relationship that we've had with One Voice, One Place, One Voice TV, and with the African Immigrants Commission, and I'm excited to talk more about it.
Very good, very good, very good, very good. We're very happy to have you in the studio tonight, Pete Regina. We want to let you know that you are doing a great job. And One Play One Voice broadcast. We are one of the number one studio in New York City. We're a registered business, and want to let you know that we do a lot of stuff. We build platform, and we also, build websites, and we do a lot more. You want to have flyers, reach us. We are here to serve you. We are here to serve the community. Again, I want to take this time to recognize a few people that joined the studio. We want to say Kabiba Ba. We say welcome to One to One Voice, watching the studio live. We also want to say hi to Francis Zisse. We say welcome to One Play One Voice. This is where Liberians meet other national. We promote nothing but peace, love, and unity, bringing back the African tradition to the USA. But P, so I know that we talked, we spoke like almost 6, 7 months ago. But I want you to give some update on where is peace like now, and what are some of the progress, and what you intend to do further. Thank you very much.
You got it. Well, Peace Lights has been very busy. We get requests to have these lights play on Zoom meetings all the time as part of conferences and part of different events that are happening around the globe. And it's been every week. I sit down here and I set up Peace Lights running on the TV. I have a couple iPads and my phone, and we point it towards the screen, and we join in on Zoom meetings. And one of the tiles in the Zoom meeting is always Peace Lights playing. And people on whatever Zoom meeting that is are told that there is a symbolism behind what they're seeing. They're seeing colors that represent the different cultures in the world. And the motion represents how those cultures interact and work together to achieve harmony and peace and good energy. So they get this kind of feeling of inclusion in a much broader global peace light story. And one of the elements that is interesting about Peace Lights is that wherever Peace Lights plays around the world, people are encouraged to project their own thoughts and intents for peace into the lights. And in that way, you have this collective energy that people seem to be resonating with in all the meetings and all the meditations and all the yoga sessions and even a recent wedding. There's a lot of propagation of the lights since this whole pandemic has started, for sure. So that's the Peace Lights part of it. And as far as the project Peace Lights go, now from these journeys of Peace Lights and getting invited to all of the events that Peace Lights has been invited to over the years, we have gotten turned on to the diaspora. What's that? So the journey has kind of led us to relationships with groups like the African Immigrants Commission, where Peace Lights was invited to play, and now we've been playing it, bringing Peace Lights to African Immigrants Commission of New York and Connecticut meetings for the last 3-4 years. And I have to compliment you on the African Heritage Month thing you had last weekend. It was a great session in the park in the Bronx there. And it always is. It's always a fun event, always great people, always good performances, and good to see everybody. So Peace Lights kind of is propagating, and therefore the efforts that spawned out of Peace Lights are propagating as well. And that's something that I definitely want to try and update you if that's okay.
Very good, very good, very good, P. One thing, I love, that you do in our community, you push, no matter where you're from on the continent, no matter where you're from, part of the world. One good thing that one player, one voice love, the voice of the African Immigrant Commission of New York and Connecticut. We love the fact that, you just there. It doesn't matter, which part of the world you're from, and that's the kind of thing. I think that's why we the African around the continent relate to you so well, because I mean your view on individuals as a whole is so different, and we felt that from you, and that one of the reasons why we thought it wise that we gave you all the support, to push this vision, forward. But let me ask you a question, P. So I know you came out of the African Immigrant Commission of New York and Connecticut. You had a program. So what was the view of that program that day? Thank you.
The view of the program that you had last week?
That's right.
I thought that was fantastic. First of all, it was socially responsible. So you had the seats all scattered out in a socially distant and responsible manner. And we had beautiful day. We had a beautiful weather day. So we got there nice and early, and there was a good energy around those who were setting up, and lots of people helping everybody else. I know I had help in setting up the Peace Lights poster around a tree, and in getting the TVs up and down and back, and you and I carried some things together. So it was great. And what I always am impressed with at these meetings is that people come, and you could tell that they're coming from different countries just by the dress and the languages and so on. But everybody knows each other, and everybody is connected through this network that the African Immigrants Commission has set up and has kind of lived inside for the last number of years. I don't know how. I don't even know how old the African Immigrants Commission is, but I can sense all of the family, no matter where it is from Africa. And now I've been to enough of these events that I have friends from, turns out, all of these countries, and it's just like one big family. And there is a great sense of camaraderie, and a lot of heritage that I did feel. The different types of music, the different types of dance, different occasions have different foods. There was no food at this event because of the virus and everything, but it's always a great experience. And I very much enjoyed the music that you brought to the experience as well. I hope you're going to play some of that tonight.
Unfortunately, we don't have that music, but I have other African music. I will be playing in the city tonight. Like I said, Brother P, I don't know. You are an awesome person, and I believe that's the reason why the Peace Light is growing so fast, because of the kind of person you are. I remember a few months back, it could be 8 or 9 months, I'm not too sure. I'm just speaking based on the approximate number. But I know you invited us to Manhattan, where we had an awesome time. I represented in that meeting, and I just saw the way you was kind of presenting, and I saw your heart. And your presentation was so well, I mean, and I could see the audience, your audience just felt who you are, because you were trying to go back to history, to bring, some very important history out. And those are some of the things I really, enjoy about UOP, and, just let me tell my audience, because I got a very big network. I just want to make sure that the message reach out. Peter he's an awesome person, I mean, the way he receive you, he don't see what you call color. That's what I observe about P. He don't know the difference of black and white. He just accept people for who they are. I want to let you know that this founder of this, big organization, folks, he is just an awesome person. I felt that, as a man of color, when he invited me to go, the way he received me, and that's the difference about P, So I just want to say on his media audience that, yeah, that's the kind of person that's speaking to you tonight, But P, let me say this. So can you tell us, because I know you spoke to many Liberians that day, during your conference. I know I was fortunate to kind of make introduction to a few Liberians. So what was your network, and how do you think the response going to be from them? Thank you.
And I appreciate you bringing me to certain people to meet, and that happened to me a few times during the day, which is always amazing. Like hey, I'd be having a conversation and someone would come over and it'd be like, "There's somebody I'd like you to meet. Can you please tell them your story real quickly and kind of let them know what you're up to, because these people could probably help you in Senegal. These people can help you in Liberia. These people can help you in Congo and Kenya, all over. It's beautiful." And the story about Project Peace Lights is getting evolved enough now where we're in a position where we're asking for help in the countries for real rubber meeting the road sort of a progress on this whole plan of accelerating peace education. So in that regard, it was not only a fun and interesting and great to see everybody sort of day,
Right.
but it was a productive time as well. The networking is usually the best part of going to conferences, and a lot of times that has suffered, since this whole pandemic has started. It's different when you're on a Zoom meeting with a bunch of people versus when you're at a conference or at a meeting with somebody. But it was really refreshing to be back in that environment and to meet all of those new people and tell them the story. And let me quickly tell it, like kind of pretend, I was brought over to somebody and told this person could probably help you in this country. What I was saying to them was the very quick background of Peace Lights, being invited to a number of events around the world and becoming this increasingly recognized symbol of peace. And that because of that, we got invited to a particular meeting honoring an African diaspora woman who turned out to be, everybody knows Rosa Parks for her not giving up her seat on the bus, and she became the symbol of the civil rights movement here in the United States. But before there was Rosa Parks, 9 months before, a 15-year-old girl got arrested. And it was her arrest that really woke up the parties that were planning the civil rights movement. And they decided that they would not use this 15-year-old girl as the symbol, but train and prepare for a more concerted effort to gain the minds and hearts of America to turn over some of these laws that were keeping African Americans, down, and the systemic racism that was going on. So they employed Rosa Parks and her skills and her energy to be the symbol. But it was Claudette Colvin's lawsuit that went up to the Supreme Court that changed the law. And a couple of years later, she was still getting death threats as a 17-year-old. She couldn't get a job. She then had a little kid. So she moved to the Bronx, which is where I met her, because the New York Peace Coalition was going to honor her and they wanted Peace Lights to play. So I spoke about this woman's contribution and specifically said that by having the impact on the people that were planning the civil rights movement and the various aspects of the civil rights movement, she really played a part that woke them up and accelerated the timeline towards the justice that eventually was given in the amendment to the Constitution that made everything, made the desegregation go away and essentially lowering the death rate of blacks in the United States, right? So by saying that, I said, if she accelerated the change in deaths per day, that means she pushed that curve to the left, and there are people no longer under the curve. They're literally lives saved. So after that meeting, after speaking at the Bronx Public Library about Claudette Colvin's righteous contribution to the civil rights movement here in the United States, someone came up to me and said, would you mind telling that same version of that story to the ambassador from the African Union to the United Nations? And sure enough, not many weeks later, I was walking into the African Union to meet with the ambassador, His Excellency Adonia Ayabare from Uganda, one of the two ambassadors from the African Union. Now, 55 nations, 1.3 billion people. This was pretty amazing stuff. I'm just a guy from New Jersey who was kind of along for this ride. Well, it turns out that, after the conversation, he invited me to review a document and kind of provide an outsider perspective. He says, I don't meet with people like you very often. And, it's true. I look back and in my five or so years with Peace Lights, since this all has started, I've been the only white guy in the group 3 times. And last weekend was one of them. There was nobody else that was white last weekend. And, like you said before,
wow,
no feeling of anything, it was all family, it
so
was
incredible.
It always is, that's the way I was raised too. So it's nothing new, but I find it interesting, usually there's a couple other people and they look a lot more, or many times they look less kind of used to being in these great environments, So anyway, he said, I don't meet with people like you very often. And, I'd wonder if you give me an outsider perspective on this document. It turned out that the document was Agenda 2063, the 50-year plan for the African Union. So, what an honor to be able to review something like that and provide feedback. And my feedback was that it was a beautiful document, and it is. I'd encourage anyone, all your readers, to take a look, if you haven't already, and look at the 7 aspirations in Agenda 2063. Goes from 2013 to 2063, right? The 4th aspiration is a peaceful and secure Africa. And the words underneath that specifically say, a culture of peace and tolerance shall be nurtured in Africa's children and youth through peace education. And that was my link back to Claudette Colvin, because the crux of her story was that she knew her rights, which is why she didn't give up her seat that day. She said, it's my constitutional right to sit here. I paid my fare and I don't have to move, even though she was getting berated and yelled at. And the cops eventually dragged her off the bus. All the while she was saying, it's my constitutional right, right? So her knowing her rights and learning those rights are some of the things you'd expect to learn in a peace education curriculum, like the one that's called for in African Union Agenda 2063, right? And it turns out that as I continued to review that document, I found 0 other reference to peace education. And that stuck out at me. And I mentioned that when I got together with the ambassador again. I said, beautiful document, but here's this big hole that I think, arguably is one of the most important facets of this whole plan, because you got to start to inculcate these values and knowledge about peace and religions and inner peace and media influences and all this other stuff. You got to start that super young. And you got 1.3 billion people. 60% of the population of Africa is under the age of 30. And the fastest growing portion are newborns. So every year you don't do anything, it's a sin. You miss enormous swaths of opportunity and people. And it just will not support the vision of Agenda 2063 in as powerful a way. So the response to me, and I thought that was going to be it. It's like, hey, here's my input. Do something about this, right? That was going to be my karmic contribution to Africa.
Right.
And he acknowledged that. He said, there were reasons, the lack of a solid definition of peace education is a problem. And they didn't know how to get around that, and they didn't have time to get around it. And quite honestly, they might have had some countries or representatives that weren't going to be too supportive if they wanted to put too much meat on the peace education part of Agenda 2063. So they made a strategic decision to take what is still historically notable, an agreement of 54 nations to do something. And I know now the African Union is 55, but there were some political reasons. Morocco was out and then in. So anyway, it's 55 today with Agenda 2063. And so I said to him, I said, that should be a solvable problem. Define it, get a group of people and define it, right? And then figure it out. The point is that if you don't do anything, you're not going to see it till some point in the distant future.
Right. And
likely that won't be until after the United Nations Global Sustainable Development Goals hit in 2030, right? So if Africa has their act together and organizes and has leadership to particularly go after this, which nothing is happening today, it seems, right? You won't have peace education defined and a curriculum developed probably till 2035 or something, right? And it seems to me that that timeline can be pulled up dramatically, like maybe by a decade. And Claudette Colvin's story teaches us that accelerating that timeline literally saves lives. So that became this discussion between me and the ambassador. And he said, you know, it's no one's ever brought this thinking to this point, but it's not the charter of the African Union to go out and do this, which he's correct, right? But he said to me, we would love to partner with partners who could help facilitate this process. And so, you know, that kind of one thing led to another, and I kept pushing on this rope and meeting new people and getting different ideas on how to handle this. And here we are today with a concerted plan to go ahead and convene a curriculum development working group for peace education with delegates, 2 delegates from every country, 110 people, plus other people who should and who should be invited to this conference, UNESCO people, Youth for Human Rights people, different groups around the world that have a vested interest and stake in peace education, or a contribution to be made to the topic of peace education that this working group should hear. So it's like having a conference. Actually, it's having 3 conferences for, call it 200, 250 people, right? 3 different conferences, about 8 or 9 months apart in 3 different parts of Africa, nominally South Africa, Morocco, and Addis Ababa, right? Over 24 to 36 months. And this professional group of working educators will do their trade. They will define and then develop the curriculum for primary and secondary in this time. And it will be melded with and intertwined with necessarily the inputs of the tribes from around Africa. And that was another thing the ambassador told me. It's like, Peter, you know, the ability to convene a working group to do the actual development of the curriculum is one thing. But in Africa, the other challenge that anybody would have would be that you can't take a curriculum and expect to be able to drive it down into the tribes.
Right.
Unless the tribes are actively involved in some sort of way, meaningful way, this thing will fail. So I was like, all right, you know, having 3 conferences for, call it 250 people. I modeled that. This guy who has chaired Pan-African curriculum development working groups has given me his financial models. I scaled them up to what we were talking about $4.5 million, US dollars. And it's not a lot, a drop in a bucket. I mean, come on, that's like nothing. So when he said to me that we had to visit all the tribes or somehow figure out a way to involve all the tribes, again, I'm just a guy from New Jersey. You know, what do I know about the tribes of Africa, right? But that's where this networking and talking to people and you know, now by the time I started thinking about this, I already had, you know, bunches of friends from all different countries, you know, many because of the African Immigrants Commission, many because of people I've met and interfaced with at the United Nations, various other events, and so on. And so a plan kind of came together to visit each tribe in every country and host days of discussion on peace education. And that's where the most exciting progress has been made in the last 6 months during this pandemic. You know, since we're not going out and having the meetings and so on, I've been able to get a number of partnerships established in different countries, and very happy to say Liberia is one of them, to start collecting the data on the tribes in each country, and the contacts, the women's and the children's coordinators who would help set up these days of discussions to open up the communications between the tribes and the curriculum development working group. So we are the furthest along with Nigeria. most populous country with the most number of tribes, it turns out. But, we also, like I mentioned, Liberia, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Kenya, Uganda. We have stuff going on in South Africa. I mean, it's just starting to propagate. Gambia. It's, and of course, Nigeria. Now, in Nigeria, there are 7 educators, people like related to the field of education, who have been helping to pull together these plans. And initially, what's very interesting about it is I just visited, we'll have one day of discussion at every tribe, but that's not really practical, it turns out. There is 371 tribes in Nigeria. And, if you look at the top 7 tribes, you account for 85% of all Nigerians. But you can't just visit 8 tribes, if you have 371. So you really need to visit, if you can't manage visiting 371, because tribes are spread out. Even if you visit the headquarter locations of a tribe, you're not necessarily getting the people who live in other states or other regions of the country, right? So you really do need to have regional meetings that you invite whoever might be in that region, tribes, chiefdoms, califats, whatever it might be, right? And I've come to learn that it's all of those, right? So we're going to have regional meetings, but we're also going to have focused meetings for those top tribes. The first X number of tribes, we'll make sure that we efficiently as possible cover as many people as possible, because getting those inputs and getting buy-in that the process that we're putting in place with the curriculum development working group is actually a good one. All of that stuff has to happen for real. It can't just be, okay, we saw those people check off the box, because that's kind of bogus. If we're going to do this, it really has to be an honest effort to add value to the tribe by letting them know what's going on, and add value to the working group by feeding back the different focuses and suggestions on a regional basis, on a country by country basis, on a region of Africa basis. It all has to play and be integrated into this story. So that's what we've been doing. And I'm very, very excited about getting down the road. I mean, once you have the data for all the tribes and a strategy, then it's a matter of building a financial model. Okay, who's going to provide the food for these meetings? Who's going to provide, where are these people going to stay? What's the order that we're going to go around to minimize the nights we have to spend at hotels, right? You figure all that stuff out, you model it, and then you get a number, and then you get the money to actually implement that in that country. So wow. It's very exciting what's been going on. And all the help we've been getting, and the meetings from last week, just puts more gas in the tank for this whole effort.
Wow, so great. Again, folks, that's how we're going to come to the conclusion of the broadcast. It's almost 10 o'clock. But before we go, I would just like to take a little break to give you some entertainment a little bit for 1 minute. When we come back, P will be giving his closing statement. But again, I want you to watch out, because P and I will be here most often, because we want to make sure that we push P's light. P is the kind of person who he have a heart, I mean, whenever we have a program, he always with us, he give us all the support, to do what we do. So we recognize that very highly. So therefore, I think, my old folks said, it's a give and take. Sometimes you just have to appreciate someone who appreciate you as well. And that's, our mission, as the AIC, working to make sure that our community voices be heard in our areas. So with that said, we'll be taking a musical break. When we come back, at which time, we will be asking P to close up tonight. And that's how we want to end the broadcast tonight. So again, stay tuned. We will be right back. Again, you reach One Play One Voice. There is where Liberia meet other nationalities around the continent of Africa. We are here tonight with P. Peace Light. Peace Light is an awesome organization that is moving around the world. If you want to contact P, just contact One Play One Voice. I will definitely give you all his information and you can contact him. A man who trying to go around the world to bring education, educating people around the world. So again, ladies and gentlemen, we want to say thank you so much. Tonight you've been a very awesome, audience watching us tonight. But again, right after this break, we'll be turning over to P to give a closing remark, at which time we will be closing the broadcast. But guess what? Don't go away, because One Play One Voice is back to stay. We are in back to the media, and we will be here to push the voice of our people that doing things, tangible around New York City. Again, enjoy your broadcast. Thank you so much. Again, we say welcome to One Play One Voice. There is where Liberia and other nationalities around the continent of Africa to promote nothing but peace, love, and unity. Bring it back our African tradition through the USA. Let's unite. It's all about African connection. We are connecting. I see P like he's already from Africa, because her interaction with our community is like, it is so awesome. We do things together. Whenever we have a program going on, we call him P come. He's so humble. I just watch him. The way he just like he just want to be there to show people what's going on in our community. I recall the last program we had, our second year having a very big program in New York City as the AIC, the African Immigrant Commission of New York and Connecticut. P was just there. He took his TV, he said, let's do this. Some people will complain, we couldn't find a location. P and I, we stood and I was looking all around. I got a little bit frustrated, but he just, keep encouraging me, like, we got this, we're going to find a place, I don't know, just the kind of way he do things is so different, and I want to be here to tell you, man, P is a great guy, so again, audience, don't worry, we're going to have P here all the time to speak to you. But tonight, let's give you a chance to do a closing remark, and right after the closing remark, we will be ending the broadcast. Thank you so much, P. P is all yours.
Thank you again, and thank you, people of Liberia and all of Africa. So, just my closing remarks would be to, wherever you can, try and incorporate peace lights. Recognize the lights, bring them into your home, like them on Facebook, and they really do have a good feeling, a good energy, and they represent the sort of things that Africa is aspiring to, peace, and to be involved with Onplaceonevoice-TV is a real honor as well, because aligning with peaceful birds of a feather in Africa is kind of what this is all about, all around the world, and this is so natural that we're working together. And I'm looking forward to keeping you apprised on what's happening, and hopefully to kind of continue to accelerate the efforts in Liberia. This has been a great learning experience for me, and I'm looking forward to it. So thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Wow, that was awesome, P. It's so great to have you in the studio tonight. And audience, I want to let you know that we also going to have the YouTube link. So P might also be sharing with you the YouTube as well. And that's how we do it at One Play One Voice. We just don't speak to our client, we don't speak to our people, but we also make sure we convert that's Facebook link to YouTube, and you have the link to your disposal in a real time. So again, watch out for the YouTube link. P going to share this, video with you, and you're going to, year after year. But again, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. P, I want to say thank you so much for the great show, and I want you to have a great night, and we will be contacting you very soon. Thank you so much.
Looking forward to it. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, folks. So that's how we end the show tonight. We want to say thank you so much. Good night, and we want to say we're going to be here at One Play One Voice. We do a lot. We build websites, we build our platform, any technical area. Please feel free to call us. We will be here to serve you. My name is Nohan. I am the founder and CEO of One Play One Voice Network. We broadcast, we interview worldwide. So we are here to serve you. We empower our community. Again, with that said, I want to say see you tonight, and I hope you have a great time and enjoy some great music. Right after this closing program, we'll have some music for like 1-2 minutes, and I will be closing up. Thank you so much, and have a good night.
Musical talent #1. Mr. Baba.
I love you.
Mbaba mkena ayentusa. Mbaba mkena we ayentusa. Konu anube kama go. Konu anube kama go. Mbaba mkena ayentusa. Mbaba mkena o ayentusa. Konu anube kama go. Konu anube kama go. Masangiwe kama belo. Pape salole kama belo. Patongile kama belo. Ente tonele kama belo. De konti we kama belo. Parunale kama belo. Happy. I swear to God, everything happy. Happy. Everything happy. Agele, oh, I see ile. Happy. You go tell my man say everything me back. Happy. You go tell my papa say yellow, I see a ile. Happy. You go to my man say everything me fa. Happy. You go to my papa say everything me fa. Happy.
I love to drip it.
Music talent number 1. Happy. Mr. Baba.
I love to drip it.
Mbaba mkena ayentusa Mbaba mkena we ayentusa